Welcome to the Arsenal Show. We are live. Yes, we are live today. And we are joined by some of the biggest Arsenal fans I know, actually. Some of the most, I'm gonna big you up, most intelligent Arsenal fans I know out there. All right. So I was talking about Simon. I was talking about Simon, Steve. Simon Lester, it is great to have you here.
Thank you very much. Nice to be on, Kieron.
And Steve knows I'm only playing. Steve, how you doing? Steve K's in the house.
I'm good, mate. Very, very good. Just watched a bit of Champions League, so back to the real world.
Yeah. We watched a bit of Champions League. You will be seeing my Champions League post-match reaction. And I mean, if you want to see an ex-professional footballer go crazy about his team losing to a couple of minnows, stay tuned and join in after this show. Because Nathan will be losing the plot in that one. But before that happens, we've got plenty of Arsenal to talk about. We've got the Norwich game to catch up on. Arteta's bold decisions, 30 chances on goal and only one goal scored. We're going to look at the tactics. Has anything changed tactically for the reason as to why Arsenal potentially had so many shots on target, or was it just Norwich? And who better to have it than these two? Okay. We've already picked Steve's brains about the Norwich game. So, Simon, what was your take on the Norwich game? Arsenal had plenty of shots on goal. They looked like it was a bit more fluid, a bit more forward-thinking. But was it just Norwich, or is anything changed at Arsenal?
Well, obviously, with the start we'd had, the main thing that mattered above anything else was winning the game and getting 3 points. So number one objective was achieved. For me, both halves, I thought we had such dominant periods whereby we looked really good, really fluent. I mean, forget there was it just Norwich thing for me. I think we just view that as a home game against someone turning up. And to me, Arsenal at home, you've got to be looking to beat everyone. I thought they looked a lot more fluid. You probably started with the four in defence that he's going to look to be his primary choices for the season going forward. Up front, I would say you could maybe play around with it a little bit, but in the middle of the park, if you look, Odegaard started, thought he had a good game. If you create 30 chances in a game, you're looking to score more than one goal. Now, sometimes the stats are a little bit misleading because a chance can be any sort of shot that's from anywhere on target or off target and stuff like that. But keeper made a couple of really good saves. I think if we'd have come away maybe 3-0, 4-1 maybe, because they had a good chance as well, I think that would have been a fairer reflection. But obviously 3 points was all that mattered on Saturday and getting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, that was my take on it as well. Steve, now the dust has settled, you probably looked over the game 3 or 4 times, watched highlights on Match of the Day as well. Did you notice a difference? Did you notice a tactical change, or was it just a one-off? Was it just because we're playing a team that's just come up from the Championship?
Look, I think there's an element of who we played, but this is the Premiership, and you've got to beat what's in front of you. And look, let's face it, we ain't no great shakes at the moment, and you know we can get beat by pretty much anybody on, you know, if the other team plays well on their day. Was there any difference? There wasn't much difference. I think there may have been a little bit difference to the personnel of what we see last season. We definitely look stronger at the back with Ben White and Gabriel. Definitely agree with what Simon said about that. That's going to be our 4 for the season, and the goalkeeper as well. But I think what was different, and the reason why I think we looked better attacking wise, and we had the 30 shots, wasn't so much the forwards, although you know we could definitely do with sticking a few more in the net, and you know we'll probably come to it. And midfielders need definitely to start to score some goals. But I thought our fullbacks were played very well against Norwich. They was getting down them flanks, both flanks this time, where over the last months, it's just been Kieron Tierney, and that's it. But Tomiyasu, we brought him in. He plays right back, very attacking, getting down there, creating chances, getting a few shots in of his own. And I think that played a large part into why we looked a little bit different further up the field.
Yeah. Simon, do you think it's a bold decision of the manager starting with a back four that's never played together, dropping his goalkeeper, bringing in a player who only trained for a couple of days? Was that bold, or did he have no choice?
No, I don't think that's bold. I think that is the way forward. So with regards to the goalkeeper, he played the week before or 2 weeks before in the League Cup, didn't let a goal in. So you can argue, it's only the League Cup, but because there's no European football this season, we have less games. So it's not as though we're going to have a cup keeper, I don't think, and a league keeper. So who knows what will happen? But my own view is clearly the long-term strategy is Ramsdale. He's going to be the number one at the club. So he's played 2 games. You could say that it's been against softer opposition, but if you play 2 games as a keeper and you don't let any in, then it's pretty difficult to drop you, I would say, because you've done your job. Yeah. With regards to the back four, I think, as I say, I think that's the first time they've been able to field Gabriel this season. White has just come back, and Tierney and Tommy on the right there. If you view the 2 wing backs in partnership with both the defence, but also the 2 wingers that were in front of them, of Pepe and Saka, those 2 have got to build up a relationship, both sides there, both with their defensive partners and with the ones going forward. And Steve's touched on it. Both of those fullbacks were bombing forward an awful lot in that match. Now, if you approach that strategy, we don't score headed goals. We're not a team that's got a target man like a Lukaku in the middle. So once those fullbacks or the winger, once those 2 up either side go forward, if they get to the byline, that is where you've got to be looking at cutting the ball back and somebody running through to possibly score a goal. Now, unfortunately, last season, our stats were the worst in the Premier League for goals from midfield. So that has got to improve. So all these little pockets of players, defence, attack, they're all in 2s, but they've all got to dovetail together to actually get the best out of the team. So you'd say probably Odegaard or Smith Rowe is probably the most likely to be running forward from midfield to score. You wouldn't think, you wouldn't say Xhaka if he plays, or Lokonga or something like that. But it's no good just banging balls over from wide areas into the 6-yard area if we haven't got a bully in there, which, as I say, for many games now, we don't score that type of goal. So I don't think it was a bold decision. I think it's the right decision, and it was probably the right game to play those players in as well.
Steve, where do you see the other goals coming from? Because we talk about midfield. Where do you genuinely see goals coming from in this team?
Well, this is the problem again. Like Simon's touched on it already. Apart from Aubameyang, there isn't anywhere where the goals are coming from, and this is why we're in the situation why we're in. This is why we had 30 chances against Norwich on Saturday, and we only scored 1. And the reason for that is because the goals it's just not there. The goals are not coming from places where they should, where in other sides they do come. Again, we have to, the goals are not coming from anywhere else. There's no use, trying to say this is where they're going to come from. Something's got to happen. We touched on it, in the post-match, that Kieron Tierney is doing all this work, every single game, getting down that flank, and he's crossing them in, and there's only Aubameyang in the box. There's no one else, and there's no midfielder. There's nobody backing them up. We like Simon's already said, we need to score goals from that midfield. We need Odegaard. Smith Rowe, as good as a player he is not scoring goals, and he has to change. He has to start. He has to start scoring 10, 12, maybe 15 goals a season. Saka as well. we all know he can find the net, and also and Pepe, they've got to start getting 10 goals a season. At the moment, it's not happening, and we've got to find that blend to make, because the players are there to make the chances. This is what you got. You've got Tommy Asu now. You've got Tierney on the other side. You've got Odegaard. You have got Smith Rowe. You've got Saka. You've got all these flair players to make the chances. Why ain't we? I mean, is it because we should be playing? Maybe we should be playing another attacking player. Maybe we should be playing another goal scorer. Maybe we should be playing Balogun.
But where do you give if you're gonna potentially bring in another goal scorer, another forward? Who are you taking out of that, Steve?
Well, this again. It's difficult, isn't it? We've got all these players now who, Mikel Arteta somehow has got to make happy. We've always spoken about that. Smith Rowe can't play every game and Saka can't play every game, and they're just going to get tired out by the time they're 20s and in their 22s. I just think they can be rested every now and then. And then you can bring a Balogun on. I don't know if that's the answer. The problem is that Gabriel can always score a few with his head, Kieron, but it's just not. It's not enough. And I can't see Odegaard and Saka and Pepe coming up with all these goals. That's why I couldn't work out during the window. Mm-hmm. It was nailed on to me that someone was going to come in. It was nailed on. I was convinced. Because if I'm Arteta and I'm looking at that every week, I'm thinking, well, you're not going to score goals. You're not going to score goals. Okay, Aubameyang will. But other than that, we're not going to score goals, so we've got to get someone. And it never happened.
Simon, do you see any good from the 30 shots? Are you seeing a glass half full on that 30 shots? Because last season there were games where Arsenal didn't even have shots on target, didn't even have shots on goal, or one shot on goal.
Yeah, I don't think you can be unhappy. And as I say, on another day, that could have been 5-0, couldn't it? It wasn't. But the fact that I think that's the most shots I've had on target for most shots in a match for umpteen years.
Yeah, since 2017, they said.
Right. But I mean, I view that as probably, let's say Partey comes in, he's obviously going to start if he's fit. But I would say we're virtually at our strongest side there, other than Partey starting for maybe Lokonga. But maybe, depending on the opposition, see, that was probably a bit of an attacking lineup on Saturday. Mm-hmm. He may, for certain games, certainly away games, he may decide to go a little bit more negative in the middle of the park. Now, that's got its benefits with regards to sort of neutralising the opposition, but it's certainly not going to help what we've just been talking about with regards to scoring goals at the other end. If he wants to play with two wide players, which it seems that he does at the moment, that takes away someone from the middle of the park. And that person in the middle of the park could be that person running through to get on the end of some of these chances.
Do you think Arsenal need to go so, not necessarily defensive, because their midfield is generally going to be a Thomas Partey, a Granit Xhaka, or a Lokonga, and a Partey, or a Lokonga and a Xhaka? Do you think he could play a Odegaard, could drop in next to a Partey? Do you think that's possible to happen during the season?
Yeah, I don't see what. To me, those two are going to start every week. So if you're playing four at the back and you're playing three up front there, you've got room for three more players. But I see Partey and Odegaard being starters every week. So I think you've only got one more spot. Now, you've got Smith Rowe is going to be vying for that spot. Xhaka and Lokonga, I would say, are the three obvious ones. But as I say, he may twig that formation a little bit depending on what the opposition. You're not going to go to I know we've already been there, but let's say you're not going to go to Liverpool and try and push them back in their own half from the first minute and stuff like that. But up front, 30 shots is great. If you break that down, I would say I can probably remember maybe 4 clear-cut opportunities in the match where we could have scored. Their keeper made a couple of good saves, so it's a little bit. It's a good stat, but it's not quite as obvious as what it would make out to be.
Yeah. Does the forward line worry you a bit, Steve?
Yeah, worries me a lot. I'm still not convinced on Balogun, basically because I haven't seen him. I've seen him in the under-23s, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Lacazette, I'm just done with him. I just don't want to see it. Good luck to him when he moves on, but I think he's finished now. I don't think he's in Arteta's plans at all. So that leaves you with Aubameyang, and that's great having Aubameyang. If we've got the Aubameyang of 2 seasons ago, then we ain't having this conversation. Yeah. This conversation's a non-conversation. So we're only 4 games in. Aubameyang might go and smash it. Odegaard might turn into the next Dennis Bergkamp type, for making chances, as Bergkamp did to Omri. And, we might be talking differently in 3 to 4 games. But for talking about them now, yeah, I worry a lot because I don't see Aubameyang's not on form. There's nowhere else where the goals is going to come from. And when you look at the bench and you think, well, who can we bring on? There's nobody. Yeah. So that's really worrying, mate. Really. So
joking aside, Lacazette is probably the best out of all the forwards at actually being able to hold the ball up for us. Because Aubameyang doesn't hold the ball up. Balogun, I agree with you. Balogun, I can't really comment because we haven't seen him other than he's on the opening day at Brentford where he was thrown in. And then Martinelli, but Martinelli hasn't really returned or sort of picked up from where we hoped he would, but he's not had game time. But as I say, without any European football, we've got 38 games plus however many games we can eke out in the domestic cups. So some of these players are just going to be warming the bench, I think, for many, many weeks because less games means less chances, but it also means less injuries and less requirements to stand players down for resting as well. So there really is going to be a problem fitting other people in, I think.
Simon, go on, Steve.
No,
go on.
Yeah, no, that's what I was just going to, sort of, continue on to the point of when he was talking about, Lacazette. I mean, he's right. As for holding up the play, and when Lacazette was on his best, we keep going on about how Lacazette, we need him to score 30 goals, 35 goals, and like he did at Lyon. But we don't really need that if Aubameyang's doing what he's done for the rest of the season. If Lacazette's coming up with 10, 12, 15, and Aubameyang's hitting 15, fine, everything's rosy in the garden. But the trouble is, you get to that same situation again where who do you take out? You have to change your system. What's the system then? Do you play 2 up front? Do you play a 4-4-2? What do you do? I don't think Arteta wants that, and that's why I don't think Lacazette's going to get a look in. I wouldn't mind seeing a 4-4-2. I love a 4-4-2. Maybe it's my age. I don't know. It probably is.
He's got a tactic that he wants to play. I just don't think he quite has the players that he wants to do it. With regards to, it looks like he wants to do that higher press. He tried it when he first came in. He then reverted back to something a bit different because the players were blowing out after about 50 minutes, 60 minutes. And it did seem like they were getting a bit of that on Saturday. But whether it will continue, I don't know, because it just seems like the players seem to put it in one game, not doing it in another. And I think this team just needs a bit more consistency. Simon, was there anything you saw from Aubameyang that made your worries ease a little bit from what we saw last season with Aubameyang?
Well, obviously he had well-documented issues last season with regards to personal issues and illnesses. Last season was a very strange season for, all round for a lot of things. I thought he actually looked a lot sharper on Saturday. I thought, he broke through early, give a bad shot from sort of distance and stuff like that. But I did think he looked a lot sharper. He should have scored at least one more goal, I think, when he was virtually clean through there, and he, goalkeeper just got a hand on the ball as he had a shot. But I think he stays in the side. He scored the only goal we've scored this season. So a bit like the keeper, if you're scoring goals and you're a striker, you stay in the side. No, you know, it's like the old Jimmy Greaves. You know, Jimmy Greaves does nothing for 89 minutes and then pops up and scores the winner. So that's what you're there for. You're there to score goals. You're there to get on the end of chances. You're not there to clear a ball in your area or something like that. So you scored a goal. He, for me, will start at Burnley on Saturday.
Steve, anything you saw the other day? Are you expecting to start seeing some goals raining in from Aubameyang?
Yeah, I do actually. I like his attitude. Looks a bit different. He looks a bit meaner. I like it when he scored the goal. He had that face back, which of a goal scorer. When he scores a goal, he had a bit of grit and punch in the air, and Aubameyang's one of these people who, he loves to play to the crowd, doesn't he? He's a bit of a showman. So last season we didn't have no fans in the crowd. So maybe this season he'll play up to that, and he'll enjoy that, and he'll start scoring goals again. But no, I've got a little bit of hope for Aubameyang this year. I'm giving him a pass from last year. You don't have, 7-8 seasons that he's been at the top level of football, smashing 30-35 goals a season. Yeah. I'm not going to have a go at him for one season when he has an off season, when he's got malaria and he has family problems. I'm not. I ain't going there. I want to see what he's doing this season, and I'm quite looking forward to seeing him play, and I want him to be playing every game. And I think he likes playing up front with Lacazette. I do. I think he prefers to play up there with him. I think he enjoys playing with him. Whether that's something that he's not too pleased about. Maybe that's something, if you bring Lacazette in, maybe that will, make him even better. It's very difficult, because it's like we need more goals. We need people happy. But then again, it means changing the team. It means changing the formation. And, are we too bottled up in that middle? Are we too bottled up in there? It's like Saka, Pepe, Odegaard, Smith Rowe. Is that too many flair players? Are they all trying to do the same thing? Do we need a bit of mixing it up? Do we need something? Do we need something different?
I don't think flair players is the issue. If you break down what kind of players are what, Saka's excellent at dribbling, very quick, rides a challenge. I don't see him as an overly flair player. Nicolas Pepe, he's a flair player to me. Loves a trick, flamboyant with his skills. He's a fair player. I see a creative player in Odegaard. But other than that, Smith Rowe, again, but they're not like... When I think of flair players, I think of like a Mahrez, a Ronaldinho, that sort of flair. But I don't see that Arsenal have enough of that. I don't see that Arsenal enough players that can pull something out of nowhere. That's what I see a bit more in Odegaard.
I think I picked the wrong word. I think the word I should have used was creative. Do we have too many creative players that are all trying to do the same thing? Saying flair is, I should have said creative. You got like 4 or 5 there who played against Norwich, and you would all say, yeah, they're creative, right? But now you've also got Tierney and Tommy Asu, who you would also say are creative. So you've got like 6 players on the pitch who can create goals. I'd
like to start seeing them do it on a more regular basis, though.
I'll tell you what I noticed on Saturday. I thought, especially at start off with, that I thought we started a lot quicker, pace-wise throughout the whole team than what we had done. Now, it's easy to say that, when the last 2 games were Chelsea and City, but I thought we looked quicker. Now, we've definitely been guilty over the past couple of seasons of too much sideways football, which basically just allows the opposition to regroup in front of you. So when we're talking about this creativity issue, if you've got 2 banks of 4 in front of any team, then you need to be Messi at his very best, or Bergkamp, to pick out a pass to anyone. It is so difficult trying to get through those walls when you're constantly battling against 10 behind the ball, whoever it is. Now, if you speed up the play and stretch it wide, that gives you a different type of creativity and a different way in, which is why I think he likes to play with the two wide men, because it stretches the pitch out. The problem is what is the result of getting the ball to those wide people, and what can they do with it to actually create those chances that are coming in? Because a lot of our chances do come from the left or the right. We haven't had someone to thread the ball through from the middle of the park with someone running on for a while.
I think one of you two touched on it earlier with regards to getting more goals from midfield. When you have got players coming in from wide, you've got Aubameyang, who's always going to be in that box. But where is the other runners? Where are the other players making the late run? Where's the central midfielder making that late run behind Smith Rowe that's going to hit the ball on the edge of the area if it comes back out? There's no one thinking first. It's always reactive. It's no instinctive runs towards the front post.
Yeah. To do that, you've got to forget what's going on behind you and forget that there might be someone. You've got to just gamble and say, "That's it. I'm going for that 12-yard penalty spot. I'm going there and wait for it." Like Ramsey used to come through.
Yeah.
But if you may be preoccupied with, if we lose the ball, they're going to break us. Well, that's for the job for the people behind. But you've got to gamble at times to put yourself in that right position.
Yeah, it's all about trust and trust in the man that's behind you that's gonna cover you in them situations. And maybe we will have a more solid and consistent back four with the likes of Tomiyasu, Tierney, White, and Gabriel playing together. They may have that sort of trust in the players again. And also, if you've got a Thomas Partey in there, who personally I think that when he came on made a difference over Ainsley Maitland-Niles, because he was just more assured in that role. And Lokonga, who came out of that position as well. I just thought the game slightly changed after that. Not massively, but I just thought we were more assured. And maybe if we have that, other players will make them runs.
Yeah.
Go on, Steve.
Yeah. No. You spot, because as you say, Thomas Partey and whether it's Xhaka and probably Lokonga, they're not going to score no goals. They're not going to get any goals. Partey's not known was a prolific goal scorer when he played for Atletico Madrid in the Liga. So the others, the others have got to literally start bucking their ideas up. I mean, what I can't understand is the strikers that are about in the transfer window, that we could have got that we didn't get. I mean, that's what's worrying to me. I mean, we all know that Arteta wanted Tammy Abrahams. We know that he wanted Edson Edouard. I know for a fact that he wanted Patson Daka. All these three players were wanted, so he must. It must be in his head that he wants to play another striker, which tells me he don't fancy Balogun and Martinelli.
No, because they're Martinelli, I think he sees him as more of a winger, and Balogun, he's just too young. He's got Eddie Nketiah in front of him, who's more assured at this present time, and he's got a Lacazette who's in front of him, who's got 1 year left in his contract, and he's not going to sign a new one because we don't want him to. And they want to change, so that's clear. But that Arsenal weren't going to take that risk they weren't going to waste that money on having Lacazette on the bench and not getting any game time. Mikel, a couple of comments have come out since Saturdays. Mikel Arteta says this is the best 15 days, 10 to 15 days that he's had in football. Is there anything to read into that? He also said there's other comments. He said the negativity has to come away. You have to bear in mind that, first of all, you are doing everything you can, your best capability, your best capacity. And you don't kid yourself, look at excuses. Normally, the easiest thing to do is to blame the players. They are not good enough. I have this, I have that. And when you and then you try to overcoach them. I was not willing to do that because, first of all, they don't deserve that. I mean, I feel like sometimes it's like cryptic clues that are coming in from Mikel Arteta. Best 10 to 15 days. He says that sometimes he feels like beating his head against the wall. Do you think he's finally starting to think that it's starting to click with some of these players? Could that be the message he's trying to get across?
Let's be honest. We hit the abyss, didn't we, at the start of that 15 days?
Yeah.
So whatever happens after that, we're only going in one direction.
I hope so.
So we're 4 games in. If we'd have beaten Brentford on the first game of the season, lost the 2 games against Chelsea and City and beaten Norwich, we'd be mid-table, but people would probably say we weren't expected to win it. I know City was a debacle and Chelsea wasn't the best of games, but we did have players out. It's no excuse because, to me, if we're going somewhere and there's an injured player, I just view it as a bonus. It's a 24, 25-man game now and stuff like that. But I think it was tongue-in-cheek what he said, because he said that I don't think he could have got any lower, but he's clearly looked at the situation and thought, well, we can only get better from here and stuff like that. With regards to sort of blaming people, I don't like the negative culture, and it's bad. You see it every day on social media, and how any fan can want the team to lose.
I know.
So it ticks the box of their little agenda is beyond. These people are not supporters. These people just, I want to like or I want to follow or something like that. It's absolute rubbish. If your team loses, you should be gutted. End of. That's where I'm from, but maybe I'm from a different era. But
you're right, Simon. You're right, and I wish more people would send that message rather than just sitting by and listening to these people talk rubbish.
And we all know they are. Without names, we know that there's some well-known negative news spreaders on social media and stuff like that. And quite how they get so many followers is beyond me, because they're talking rubbish. Absolute rubbish.
Yeah. I completely agree. A player that had his debut on Saturday, Simon, Tomiyasu. There was other players that Arsenal were linked with, Max Aarons, a few others.
I've had nightmares over that bloke.
Tyreek Lamptey. Do you think they made the right decision in going for Tomiyasu with his all-round play?
Right. So it was pretty obvious that we were going to sign a right back. The longer it dragged on, people were sort of saying things. But I'll hold my hands up. I didn't know anything about this guy before. I can only judge him on what I see now. The only information I've read is that the bloke from Barcelona who went to Spurs, he was looking like he was coming, but then at the 11th hour, I've read that maybe Arteta said, I don't think he's quite the fit for us, and he moved in a different direction. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But all I can judge him on is the 60 minutes he was on the pitch for on Saturday, and he looked pretty good to me. However, far greater tests are ahead. So we only really saw him as in an attacking sense. Now, let's see what he's like to start with at Burnley on Saturday, where I'm sure he'll get a bit of a culture shock.
I mean, that's a test. That is a test.
Locals take a shine to him. And obviously, he's going to be facing far greater tests at some of the top teams. So jury's out for me, but I can only judge him on the 60 minutes that I've seen. But I'm pleased that he seems to have bedded in very well in a short space of time.
Yeah, Steve, we touched on it on Saturday, but good combination of aerial ability, pace, all-round play from what you saw so far?
Yeah, from what we've seen in that first 60 minutes, he looks the real deal. He looks, I've already stated it, he looks how Bellerin used to look. Bellerin used to do what he used to do when Bellerin came on the scene, and we all thought Bellerin was going to be the next big thing for Arsenal, and he was going to be the next Spanish right back, and then he just absolutely fell away, to pieces. But I don't know. Apparently, he's gone to Real Madrid, and now he's smashing it up again. So, but that generally happens. So. But back to Tomiyasu. Yeah, I mean he's looks strong. He doesn't get pushed off the ball, and he's got a shot on him. He likes to get forward. But one thing
if he would have scored that,
yeah,
if he would have scored that, we'd be singing his praises now still.
Exactly, they would be. Definitely. I mean, it was a lovely strike. But one thing I do like, he's a defender. He can defend.
Yeah,
he can defend. You know, there was a little montage of him, with getting stuck in, tackling, heading him away from corners, barging people in at corners. I'm not being funny, but Kieron Tierney should have a little look. Do you know what I mean? Because Kieron Tierney, as much as I love him and what a player I think he is, and he'll be Arsenal captain one day. He can seriously start brushing up when he's defending. I go on about it quite a lot. But this guy, Tomiyasu, this doctor is messing about by playing in one game and not playing in the next play. We have to play our full team all the time. And I'm well happy. I mean, we had that thing you mentioned at Kieron, didn't you? We don't know. He came to Arsenal because he was the last choice.
Yeah. Nonsense on Sky Sports.
Yeah, but I like him. I don't. We can't not. But Simon's right. We can't get carried away. It's one game, and it's just like with Arsenal. With bottom of the table after 3 games. Some people are going crazy and thinking we'll get relegated. Others like us.
Why they do that?
Others are sitting back and going, "Come on."
I think for a long time, this chopping and changing lot, which you have to do, but I don't see us in a position of really having to do too much of that this season because we just haven't got the games. All right, we've got Wimbledon in the cup. Well, all right, we can make some changes for that. Without knocking them, that should be pretty straightforward for us. But as our bread and butter, as each Saturday on the odd weekday comes, we're not playing this week. We've got a full 7 days off before Burnley. There's 6 or 7 teams have got a midweek game there, including travelling. That's when you have to start changing things around. We haven't got that. We haven't got that this season. So the only positive I can think, because it also will reduce any potential injuries that you get.
But even then, you touched on the fact that we've got Wimbledon, but even then, you're still thinking, I want to see a decent team out. I'd like to see a couple of youth players, but I want to see some of our players that are on the fringes of the first team starters. I want to see them starting. I want them to have that fire in their belly that they want to take that spot because there are spots up for grabs.
Definitely.
There's not too many players. I want the back four to keep the same, but other than that, there's anyone can take any of one of them spots on the pitch. And they need to have that fight in their bellies for it as well.
Do you know what the funny thing is? We can probably, when other teams, what they normally do when they swap players around or bring players in, give them a rest, or they want to see what players like, they normally do this in the cups. Yeah, I think it's the other way around for us this season. I think the cups is probably really important that we should be having good runs and playing a full team in them. All we've got is the 2 domestic cups in the league. We ain't going to do nothing in the league. Come on, we ain't going to get no Champions League. Europe, we've got to have a hell of a season to get into Europe. So we probably can afford to sort of, like what you said, Kieron, bring in the odd fringe player then. But in the FA Cup and in the League Cup, I want to see 4 teams. I want to see, because I will be seriously not happy if we get put in half a team, get knocked out of an FA Cup and the League Cup. Seriously.
Yeah. But Steve, it's very similar to 1986, 87 in the League Cup. Remember, so there was no Europe, and we played 4 teams in the cups. And look what happened in 87. Won the League Cup.
Won both, yeah.
And I view this as a similar type of thing. It's like your domestic cups are gonna have a whole lot more interest for us this season. He played a strong team at West Brom, and I view him playing maybe a slightly weaker side than that at home to Wimbledon. But certainly, I think you'd have 6 first-team starters in there at least, and some of the ones that haven't had a game yet will make up the rest.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
Let's go to the comments section. The defence looks more comfortable with Ramsdale and the sticks. That could also be because of the new back 4 as well. Aaron Ramsdale, I thought he looked very good against West Brom. He came in the last game. I think he looked very assured there. the nice little drop of the shoulder, take it. And also, what I did notice about Ramsdale, what I like about Ramsdale, is he gets it out quicker. His distribution isn't as good as Emi Martinez, but he's quicker with his feet. He wants to get that ball and he's looking to break out quicker. One thing that frustrated me with Leno is he holds onto the ball too long. It's like a slow motion, and then he wants to do something. But by then, the players, their forwards are already on you, putting pressure on you. That's no good. So I think that's a major reason why they like the look of Aaron Ramsdale, because he's good with his feet. Project Youth for the future is now the past, has failed and spent big money on them boys. But what you got to remember is Arsenal aren't shopping in the same place as everyone else. So they've kind of got to buy the player before they are the big name. And it's not going to come cheap. It's not going to come cheap.
I mean, how did we get Hudson Edward? I mean, how did that happen?
I don't know. We've been speaking about Hudson Edward since this show started last year.
I was like screaming when he had that interview again after the Spurs game, when they was interviewing. I was like screaming at the TV. I was like, look at this. This geezer was mean. He was even mean to the geezer who was interviewing him. You're like, what? What'd you say? You thought you said something wrong? I thought, what would we do if with someone like him up front? You know, I didn't know too much about him when he was at Celtic. All I know, he was a prolific goal scorer. But after seeing him at Crystal Palace, was he 15, 18 million, something like that?
15 million. 15 mil. Man. I couldn't believe it. I love Tommy Ashew. He gives me Sangha vibes. As Simon and Steve were saying, just needs to be seen. If he can get through that Burnley game, that's a test. If you can
that sounds bad, doesn't it? But do you know what? If you've got aspirations of doing well in the league, all the top teams know they go to Burnley, they're going to get a rough game, but they're going to come away with 3 points. Yeah. Now, obviously, last season we imploded, giving them a goal, but we should have won that game. The season before, I think it was one of the last games before the lockdown, I went to that game. It was 0-0. And it was another tip. We had chances to win it and just didn't miss. So the last 2 games we've played there, we've come away with a point. One of the big pluses I can see is both those games were sort of later on in the season, the previous 2. And the pitch there is probably the worst in the Premier League. So you would hope that by going there in mid-September, that will be slightly better, which will play into our hands, I think. But this is already, to me, it's a huge game. You've got to win a game. Get 2-3 wins under your belt. Get a little run going together.
It's massive
you game. Arsenal need momentum, and it is a massive game. It sounds silly, a game against Burnley, but it is massive. But this is not the same Burnley as 2-3 years ago. This is a different Burnley. They tried to be a bit more open. They tried to be a bit more attacking because the fans are probably a bit bored with the same football, and it doesn't work for them. It does not work for them. So that we can get at Burnley and we can score goals against them. Evening boys, completely agree. We needed to bring in more goals, whether that being out wide or a number 10. Steve has touched on it, saying that there was Tammy Abraham, Hudson Edward. The list goes on. But the sticking point was Alexandre Lacazette, as Steve can tell you. Partey needs to be protected because it's clear to see he's the most important player in midfield. Partey needs consistency. He needs to run. He needs to play games. He needs to not get injured. And as soon as he does that consistently, I'm sure we will get a Thomas Partey that will be able to hold down this midfield role, and we will be a better team. But until that, we can't really say. I was impressed with him in pre-season. It looked like he was still starting to do things. But that injury against Chelsea just stunted it. But he came in yesterday and he made a difference. So may that continue. I think Arsenal's current squad lends itself to a similar style to Chelsea's Thomas Tuchel's system of 3-4-3-2-1. Wow, I didn't even know that was a system. He's Thomas Tuchel. He's a tactical genius. And he's got a lot more experience than Mikel Arteta.
The bloke from the Farmers League, as everybody said.
We won't have that. Abba linked up well in the last game. His work rate for sure, very lively, and put some tackles in.
Correct.
I also saw, I think it was someone mentioned that Odegaard was doing his best to get involved in and stopping that the defenders as soon as possible. Tim Krul making mistakes all over the place. Edouard wasn't coming in because Laka wasn't leaving. Steve Dose. Steve.
Well, he's not far off, is he? I mean, he's not far off. The idea was to get Lacazette out before we could buy, and he's just dug his foots in, and he wouldn't go. Edouard wanted to come to Arsenal. I know he wanted to come to Arsenal, and the idea, but it was all about getting Lacazette out, and it was never going to happen because, as Kieron's already said, he's on a 1-year contract. He's on 880 grand a week. Just like Glenn said there, he's going to see it out, and he's going to be stuck on the bench for the rest of the season, as far as I'm concerned. And therefore, that's why even more our midfield players have got to really, score some goals, because, if we have got a chance of, European football next season, that's what they're going to have to do.
Yeah. Chambers did well at Burnley. I mean, I'm sorry, but I would be drinking Chambers near this team. And Tomiyasu was better technically, physically, and better IQ. He'll be fine, trust me. Glenn, I think you're right. I was impressed with Tomiyasu's heading ability, his aerial ability. And if you're playing in the back three or back four, and Kieron Tierney, as we know, loves to bomb forward, it means that Tomiyasu can tuck in maybe slightly and be cover for both Ben White, who's not the best in the air. A young player that's getting a lot of hype at the moment is Charlie Patino, youth team player. Simon, is he a player that you'd bring into the game against Wimbledon? See what he can do?
Yeah, I thought for a minute there he was going to say Burnley, and I was going to say
no way.
I was going to log off. The Wimbledon game would be perfect, even if you brought him on for half an hour at the end, or you started him for an hour or something like that. But most people have, he scored a cracking goal at the weekend, which a lot of people have seen. But it's always the same with the youngsters. You can overhype them, you can say how good they are, but you're never going to know how good they are until you actually put them in the first team. So I'm sure there's a plan for him. I'm sure the people behind the scenes have sort of plotted what they want to do out. But I think that would be the perfect game. Yeah, agree.
Yeah,
my friend knows his dad, and he waxed lyrical about him. He keeps going on about how he should be starting and how he should be playing. Don't know too much about him. Again, like Balogun, I haven't seen that much of him. But
that good to say that he should be starting in this midfield now.
He has said to me that he's a West Ham fan, so I'll take it with a pinch of salt. Sorry, Steve, if you're watching.
Steve, you've got to stop doing that. Our West Ham fans are just unsubscribing every time.
They love me. They know I'm from their manor, so they're sweet. They're sweet. But no, again, just from what I'm hearing, this is the real deal.
All right. That is all we have time for. Simon, thank you very much for joining us.
Pleasure. Enjoyed it. It was really, really good.
That's good. I mean, I'd love to have you on for a post-match reaction sometime, or get onto the show again.
I'm always available. Should I be at home? Shall we say?
And not playing golf.
No. We could do it on the golf course.
Do that. You could do that. I'd rather you did it at a football ground rather than a golf course. But
that would be better.
It's what it is. Steve, thank you very much for joining me.
Pleasure, mate. Pleasure as always.
All right, and thank you very much the regulars. You're not there again. I see you changed your name again. I'm not even going to try that one. Glenn Cook, love to see you in there again. Ryan Fitzgerald, as always. New name, AFC Nemesis. Come on, hit that subscribe. We spoke the other day. You joined us. I appreciate you joined us. Love that. Come and hit that subscribe button. I want to see an extra sub after this. Who else we got in here? And that is it. Thank you everyone for joining us. We've got the post-match reaction of the Manchester United versus Young Boys game. If anyone wants to be entertained, come and join us. All right? It's Nathan Ellerton. I've not checked my phone, but it feels red hot right now. So Peace out, people. Stay safe.
That's
And
that
wash
one.
your hands.